What's good? Absolutely gorgeous weather, minus the stuff they're spraying in the sky. I won't get into it, but I did upload a short. Go check it out. I've had a very productive morning. I'm very thankful for that. Sundays, normally I do my laundry before I work my retail job. So I did that this morning, and then I had enough time in between my retail job and doing laundry to get a delivery in. So I did a quick delivery, made a few extra bucks, which is just really nice because literally I've made an extra 30 bucks this week just doing 2 roadie deliveries. 30 bucks helps. 30 bucks helps. But anyways, well, it's kind of related to the subject of this video. Something happened yesterday. Like, wow. I uploaded a video a week or 2 or 3 ago about how the fact that I'm 38, I'm single, and I just have no interest in dating and women, really. You know, I should have my testosterone checked, but you know, there's so much more to it. There's spiritual stuff involved and you know, just growth and development requirements that I still have felt I needed to go through. But yesterday, a young woman came into the store, the retail job store that I work at, and she was absolutely gorgeous. Just so freaking beautiful on so many levels. And she wasn't wearing anything too crazy, which is something that I appreciated. Women who can be beautiful without just showing a bunch of skin, right? That's easy. I like boobs, don't get me wrong. But, you know, I think it's just, in my opinion, beauty that I enjoy more is the not so in your face beauty. And so she was wearing pants that she would literally have had to have worn extra baggy pants for them to not be flattering. Like, she had just an absolutely perfect bottom. Her ass was all that in a bag of chips, or whatever the kids say. I don't know anymore. And it was truly a work of art, like something you would see in a sculpture, like a precise Greek sculpture. It was very nice. You know, and the pants she was wearing, just everything, the way, because it was nice. I'm not trying to objectify her. You know, it was just a work of art. She was very beautiful. You know, I respect her. So anyways, and she was also wearing a purple sweater, but it was full like length, so all of her arms were covered, and it wasn't ostentatious in like it fully covered her, but it fit very nicely, and it was like fluffy-ish. It had like, just, I don't know, it was fluffy. It was really cool. It was just, it reminded me of literally something, maybe this is gonna be maybe weird, but like my grandma would wear. Just that style. It was reserved but still feminine and still flattering. But with a little bit of flash, you know, the fluff, and it was a cool shade of purple. Purple is one of my favorite colors. And, you know, I'll get into, there's more to it than just describing her, but I felt like it was necessary to describe her. I'd say age 24 to 32 would be my guess. Dark hair, you know, complexion very similar to mine. And I like women of all ethnicities. You know, that's why I think Nicholas Fuentes is an idiot, because, you know, anyways, let's get back on subject. So she's very, very beautiful. And she was doing that thing that customers do, kind of looking up, like, you know, they're a little lost, a little confused. And so I approached her, because she was literally like right in front of me. It wasn't like I went out of my way. No, it was like she walked right in front of me. So I was like, okay, universe, let's do what I normally do and ask if this customer needs help. It's just the positive that she's really fucking beautiful. You know, and so I did the thing I do. I was like, you look like you might need help. What can I do for you? Blah, blah, blah. And so she explained that, you know, she's got this IKEA shelf that she, you know, wall mount, that she wants to put in on her wall to, you know, do a shelf. And she didn't know anything about screws and hardware, and they didn't come with any screws. And so I was like, yeah, sure. Do you mind if I look at the instructions? And so together we look at the instructions, and I, you know, take her to the aisle and kind of show her what screws she should get. And, you know, even how to install it, because she didn't even fully understand, you know, one of the screws you leave out of the wall, and anyways, doesn't matter. I helped her. And then I even gave her, but while I was helping her, I consulted my AI chat feature. And while I was doing it, I said, give me 1 sec, let me ask AI. Unfortunately, I think I'm developing a relationship with my AI, as a joke. And she, laughed and also had commented, something like, she said something like, yeah, me too, I get it. And in that moment, my brain was like, this is so not natural in the sense of how men and women are being divided, in the sense, just hear me out. You have a seemingly single, young, beautiful woman, and I say seemingly single because she's, at a hardware store doing a project by herself. You'd think if she had a partner, anyways, you just assume. And a very, very single, not as beautiful, but I'm an okay looking guy, young man. I'm very motivated and very passionate. Anyways, so like we both are acknowledging that we're developing relationships with this artificial intelligence chat application. And it was just so funny because maybe before AI, we would have interacted more, but men and women are disconnected from each other, and it's so very clear in that moment. That's what became clear in a comical and sad fashion. Men and women are disconnected. But okay, that's not the end of it. That's not the end of it. Of course not. She then explained, the next step is drilling the shelf into the bracket. And she had commented, that seems a bit aggressive. I don't know if I want to do that. And I said, actually, yeah, you might be able to get away with just using some double-sided, kind of tape, some of the thick stuff. It's a slightly padded adhesive on both sides. So you do that, and then the shelf, because, it's not moving or anything, it's gravity with the tape. This should be all that you need. You don't need to screw it in. And she really liked that idea. And she had commented, she's like, yeah, I'm just putting my flour on it. And it wasn't plural, it wasn't flowers, it was flour. So my thought is like baking ingredients. And oh boy, my heart, I was already like stunned by how beautiful she was. But I joke, one of the fastest ways to my heart is with chocolate chip cookies. I love all kinds of sweets. Who doesn't? But just chocolate chip cookies, warm with a little bit of crisp and a little bit of like gooey moistureness, softness. Like grandma used to make them, bringing grandma back into this. There's some, maybe psychosexual stuff here I should explore. I'm just making a joke. Anyways, grandmas are just the best. That's sort of the arc that I desire my future wife, if I ever meet one. That's the arc I want for her is, I want her to be a mother and a wife and eventually to become a grandmother, and a grandmother that all of the grandkids love, because I'll probably die before my wife. I'm just being real. And so I want her in her last years to just really be so well taken care of by the family. And one of the best ways you do that is to, turn your wife into a grandmother, and, a good grandmother. And in that moment, let me circle it back, this young woman, I was like, oh, she probably bakes, in my heart. And so I just, I'll probably never see her again. Or if I do, I think ultimately it would be inappropriate to like try and make a move on her when I'm an employee, and she's a customer. But it kind of was really positive for me still, in that it reminded me that I still feel attraction to women, which is nice, beyond a very basic biological primal sense. Because I do still very much like, I see boobs and I get giddy because they're awesome. But that's not necessarily like, I don't want to say mature or evolved or evolved. Yeah, it's not to be, to me, a spiritual person. It means to moderate your urges. And so while I experience the urges, I transmute the energy in, instead of, just basking in primal, biological, carnal arousal. I mean, which is good to do when you have a partner, and together you're doing that, which is, you know, the sacred union of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, is that channeled energy being then shared with one another. As crazy as all of that sounds. And so, even though I'll probably never see the girl in the purple sweater again, I feel like that moment really was like a good moment for me to have. And then this sort of realization, the channeling of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, you know, taking all of the energy and sharing it. This video got weird, but thank you very much for watching. Have a good day. Go Seahawks.